A completely unhinged lunatic, Donald Trump was freaking out all day yesterday about the fact that he can't cover up the Epstein files. We previously reported how a federal judge, Judge Engelmeyer, wants the DOJ to respond about whether or not an independent monitor needs to be put in place to release the Epstein files that Trump and the DOJ are in criminal violation of not producing. So you see, Donald Trump sent his sycophants to go on state regime media yesterday, which calls itself Fox, and to hold press conferences to try to distract from his dark past. There was that worker at the Ford factory in Detroit who kept on screaming at Donald Trump, appropriately so. "You're a pedophile protector. You're a pedophile protector, Donald." And Trump just lost it. He can't control himself. He gave the middle finger to the auto worker. Is there any better symbol of this Trump regime? I saw one commentator say than Donald Trump giving the middle finger to auto workers and union workers. That's what Donald Trump does on a daily basis. But Donald Trump's like, F you, because the auto worker was saying you're a pedophile protector. And it should be noted that the auto worker is not a Democrat, identifies as an independent, has voted Republican in the past, not a Trump voter, but he believes, I think, and rightfully so, that Trump and this regime are a bunch of pedophile protectors. And Trump just gave him the middle finger, and Trump looked like an unhinged lunatic. And then the Trump regime attacked the Ford factory worker, and then Ford suspended this guy. I mean, this guy was just saying his First Amendment rights. If you're going to present Ford a pedophile protector at the factory and the guy's going to accurately call out that there's a freaking predator amongst them, you're going to suspend the guy. You know the story about him right now? His name is TJ Sabula, a 40-year-old United Auto Workers Local 600 line worker at the factory. And he told the Washington Post that he was the one shouting at Trump. He said he has been suspended from work pending an investigation. The Trump regime called him a lunatic. They go, a lunatic was wildly screaming expletives in a complete fit of rage, and the president gave an appropriate and unambiguous response. Steve Chung, Donald Trump's communications director, said in a Washington Post statement. And then TJ Sabula responds, as far as calling him out, definitely no regrets whatsoever, Sabula said, though he added he is concerned about the future of his job and believes that he's now been targeted for political retribution for embarrassing Donald Trump in front of his friends. Sabula identifies as politically independent and said he never voted for Trump but has supported other Republicans. He estimated that he was roughly 60 feet away from Trump on Tuesday and that the president could hear him very, very, very clearly. He said he was specifically referencing Trump's handling of the Epstein files. I don't feel as though fate looks upon you often, and when it does, you better be ready to seize the opportunity, Sabula said, and today I think I did that. Our hat tip goes to you, TJ, and TJ, reach out to the MeidasTouch Network. If we can help you in any way, we want to help you at the MeidasTouch Network. So let us know what we can do to help. So, you know, the Trump regime yesterday evening, I don't know if you caught this, they sent James Comer, the head of the House Oversight Committee, and other sycophants to do the cover-up work for Donald Trump's very sick and disgusting and dark past with Epstein. So James Comer went on state regime media known as Fox, and Comer was like, we've got a lot of unanswered questions here. American people really want to know is, what was Bill Clinton doing? Okay, first off, we're not here defending Bill Clinton, okay? At the end of the day, just release the freaking files. Release the entire files. Only 1% of the Epstein files have been released. And it's obvious y'all are covering up for Donald Trump. We know what you're doing. Here's what James Comer had to say. Play this clip.
Yeah, look, Donald Trump has answered thousands of questions from the American public and from the media about Epstein. To my knowledge, Bill Clinton hasn't answered any questions. And what he said in that letter, he's provided us his information about his knowledge of Epstein. He didn't provide hardly any information for someone that allowed Epstein to go to the White House 17 times while he was president and then fly on his plane 27 times. So we have questions. If anyone in America is interested in Epstein and getting to the truth about what really happened and who needs to be held accountable and how the government failed the victims, then Bill Clinton is someone that would be a person of interest, whether you're a Republican or Democrat.
Well,
And then Donald Trump has his other proxy from state regime media, Sean Hannity, say that Donald Trump never flew on the plane with Epstein, from what I understand. Here, play this clip.
all right, Donald Trump never flew on the plane from what I understand either.
Right? They're just making up the stupidest lies. I mean, we all know that Trump was on the plane multiple times, maybe more than just about most people. Trump was on that plane frequently, and we don't even know how many more times Donald Trump was on the plane. We do have this email from January 8th, 2020. This is between the various United States attorneys to each other, and it says, for your situational awareness, wanted to let you know that the flight records we received yesterday reflect that Donald Trump traveled on Epstein's private jet many more times than previously has been reported, or that we were aware, including during the period we would expect to charge in a Maxwell case. In particular, he was listed on the passenger of at least 8 flights between 1993 and 1996. MAGA Mike, Donald Trump sycophant, pathetic MAGA Mike. He was running around the halls like, you want to know what an unhinged lunatic looks like? Stephen Chung, MAGA Mike Johnson is Exhibit A. MAGA Mike was running around flailing, saying, by definition, Bill Clinton is engaged in contempt of Congress. Bill Clinton is our target in the Epstein investigations. Donald Trump has held open, unending press conferences where he spoke about Epstein all the time. But Bill Clinton, you know what Donald Trump has said? Donald Trump has said that Epstein took his property, referring to Virginia Giuffre, who was sex trafficked from Mar-a-Lago. Mar-a-Lago was a site of the sex trafficking. I don't have to worry about saying that, oh, you're going to defame him. No, it was. Virginia Giuffre was taken from Mar-a-Lago. And we know from all of the reporting that Epstein didn't even have to go to the Mar-a-Lago spa. The Mar-a-Lago spa went to Jeffrey Epstein. Mar-a-Lago sent girls, they sent staffers, they sent masseuses, they sent manicurists to Epstein, and Epstein would expose himself to them and sexually assault the girls at his house. And then a girl who was maybe 18, perhaps even younger. Virginia Giuffre was underage at the time, by the way. She was 17 years old, and the Trump regime, they put out ads to attract these younger girls to work at Mar-a-Lago during that period of time. But there was a young girl, her dad was livid at Epstein. They threatened Donald Trump. They threatened to go public with what Trump was doing. And then Donald Trump claims he banned Epstein from the spa of Mar-a-Lago. Not Mar-a-Lago, but the spa. But Epstein was never going to the spa. As I said, the spa was going to him. Here, let's just play this clip of MAGA Mike flailing. Hold on, let's play that.
Clinton's defied the subpoena today. One, are you going to hold them in contempt? Two, should the House Oversight Committee also pursue Trump and get testimony from him with as much zeal?
Why would they need to? If President Trump
He had a
gives,
fast relationship just like
President
Clinton
Trump gives open, unending press conferences on a daily basis. Anybody can ask him anything, and he's addressed this issue ad nauseum.
Under oath, it's different.
The Clintons have not, and I think it's defiance of Congress for them to defy the subpoena. I mean, I think by definition, it's a contempt of Congress, and we'll have to see how that plays out.
Mr. Speaker, there's going to be we had these crises
Too early to determine that.
Okay, so let's go take a look at what else was going down. You had James Comer holding the press conference earlier in the day, where more on Clinton. Play this clip.
We subpoenaed Pam Bondi for the documents. She started producing the documents. Then Congress voted for the discharge petition to send another message, and we all voted for that. They are sending documents. They sent a big batch. The Democrats were unhappy. They said there weren't enough redactions, so now the DOJ is going through trying to make sure they redact everything. So as from my standpoint, the Department of Justice is cooperating. They are turning over documents. We would all like for them to turn documents over quicker. But at the end of the day, they are complying. President Trump is answering your questions about Epstein. He's answered them over and over and over again. Who we haven't heard from is Bill Clinton. And I stated why. The amount of time that Epstein spent with Clinton while he was president and post-presidency. So I don't think it's out of line for former President Clinton to come in for a bipartisan subpoena and sit down and answer questions. So thank you all very much.
More James Comer here talking about Clinton.
Unanimously by the committee in a bipartisan manner, we will move next week in the House Oversight Committee markup to hold former President Clinton in contempt of Congress.
Yeah, good job.
Then you had Democratic Congress member Johnson say that, the Trump regime is one gigantic fraud operation. They promised they would deliver the Epstein files and make things affordable, and they lied on all accounts. Play this clip.
This administration got elected based on fraud. It promised that they were going to deliver the Epstein files. They did not do so. They promised that they would cut the cost of groceries on day one. They have not done so. They promised to keep us out of endless wars. They have not done so. They've accelerated that. And so this is a administration based on fraud, led by a fraudster, a gentleman who was convicted of fraud, multiple counts, a gentleman whose organization was convicted of fraud, multiple counts.
Now, you all remember Donald Trump. By now, you've seen the clips that we've played. Donald Trump giving the middle finger to the Ford worker, TJ Sebula. Here, play the clip of that. And I just think Americans are all fed up with this. We've seen over performances by Democrats across the country yesterday as well. Democrats overperformed in Connecticut. I think it was a district, House district, special election House district that Kamala Harris won by +7. The Democrat won by in the +30s. It was a 20-point overperformance there in Connecticut. The Democrats flipped a seat in Florida, in Fort Pierce. Democrat Chris Dazowski won the Fort Pierce City Commissioner District 2 runoff, flipping the commission to Democratic control. And you want to know the story about the Republican? The Republican resigned, sending nude photos of himself to a 12-year-old girl. Okay, and the race was a Democrat and another Republican. This is how WPEC CBS 12 News described the race before, and the Democratic candidate went on to win. But listen why they explain the Republican candidate left that race. Here, play this clip.
It's election day here in Fort Pierce, and soon someone will take over District 2's second city commissioner seat. The person who was previously in that seat was James Taylor. He was arrested in July of last year for allegedly sending lewd photos to a 12-year-old girl on Snapchat. Now the race is between Chris Zadowski and Jamie Beth Galinas. Zadowski, formerly a 16-year member of the St. Lucie County Commission. Galinas, a newcomer to politics and currently a senior director at a medical device company. Now, this race is in the runoff portion of the special election because none of the candidates got over 50% of the vote the first time. I'm out here at the polling center speaking with voters and the candidates, and we'll give you all of the information as it becomes available on CBS 12. So follow and subscribe for all the latest developments.
And then there's more distractions from MAGA Republicans. As you know, their attack on Jerome Powell. Launch a criminal investigation into Jerome Powell. Maybe that will distract. Launch an invasion of Venezuela. Maybe that will distract. Launch a criminal investigation into Democratic Senator Alyssa Slotkin. Yeah, Alyssa Slotkin says that she learned that she's under federal prosecution, or a federal prosecutor rather. She learned that federal prosecutors are investigating her, not under prosecution, or investigation, after she took part in a video urging military service members to resist illegal orders. It's unclear to her what possible crimes anybody's even talking about. But, that's what you're having, right? That's what's going down. Oh, and then you have Jeanine Pirro, Donald Trump's United States attorney for the Washington, D.C., and she attacks Jerome Powell. Maybe they can distract with Jerome Powell. Here, play this clip.
But the chairman says, no, you're attacking the independence of the Federal Reserve. That's not what we're doing. We're doing our job. And I think the sad part about this is no one is above the law, nor should anyone think that they have the right to be above the law, Sean. And I'm curious to those who claim, oh my gosh, this is a terrible thing, even in our own party. What do you suggest? Are there certain people that you cannot investigate? Are there certain people that we look the other way and throw complaints in the drawer? That's not the America that I grew up in, Sean.
Just to be clear, Judge, you gave them an opportunity to just talk to you and say, what's going on here? Why are these massive cost overruns? They didn't get back to you. That's what happened? Three times. He didn't
respond. Right. Instead, he comes out with this crazy video.
If you write me one time and I don't respond, I'm dead. So it would have been smart if they just responded and had a conversation with you.
I wouldn't be sitting here today, Sean.
Yeah, that's what's going on. Anyway, we'll keep you posted every step of the way here, but wanted to keep you apprised of what's happening. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million, and thanks so much for watching. New Meidas merch. Head to store.MeidasTouch.com today and get yourself the best pro-democracy gear and show your support. That's store.MeidasTouch.com.